Hi, Mark Gelfo. It's Thursday of Greenbuild, and I just came out of a session that I really enjoyed, mostly because I'm just a LEED geek, called Code Dread, comparing the ASHRAE and LEED standards over the different versions. The presentation team was actually three people from KJWW. It's a firm about this, a little bigger than TLC, but does a lot of the same things that we do. Very similar. They're based in the Midwest. So they really started talking about ASHRAE 90.1. As we all know, LEED version 4 is going to use, or does use, the 2010 edition of ASHRAE 90.1, and there's major changes to the new edition. More things are regulated. There's a lot more regulations for process loads, things that were previously unregulated. There's changes to the envelope. Cool roofs are required in some climate zones. There's some changes to the R values and required and solar heat gain coefficients. There's a requirement that you have to have more glazing on the south side than you do on the east and west exposures of the building, which certainly starts to affect building orientation and drive energy performance, so that we don't have, we minimize the east-west exposures and maximize the north-south, which I think is a great thing. There's requirements for clear stories and skylights in some large, tall spaces and top-of-floor rooms. There's changes to fan power requirements and efficiency of fans, need for lower static systems, which means larger ductwork, larger air handlers, fewer and better fittings, and some energy incentives for energy recovery. Changes to reheat. They said that reheat loopholes are being closed, which I thought was a funny way to put it. Can't have hospitals with constant volume reheat anymore. No reheat allowed in most buildings, except for with some exceptions. If it's less than 30% of the peak flow, you're not flowing any more than the required airflow. If you're doing something like heat recovery chillers, where you're capturing 75% or more of that heat and recovering it and reusing it. There's a requirement for economizers all the way down to climate zone 2, and economizers for systems, smaller systems greater than 4.5 tons. So that's going to mean a lot more economizer systems in our buildings. From a lighting standpoint, in 90.1 2010, lighting power densities are going to go down 12 to 15%, which is driving them almost as low as they can go. So there's a lot more focus on lighting controls. And then there's a requirement for functional testing, i.e. third-party commissioning of lighting controls. We can't put all these lighting controls in and just expect them to work right. We need to commission them. Then the majority of the presentation was a case study comparing their office edition that they did back under version 2.2 for new construction, and comparing that achieved silver certification, and comparing that both from an energy standpoint and an overall LEED standpoint with 90.1 2007 and LEED 2009, and then of course 90.1 2010 and LEED version 4. So like I said, they achieved silver certification under their 2.2. Their energy design had under version 2.2 and 90.1 2004 showed a 20% energy savings reduction. And compare that to the requirements under 90.1 2007 for LEED 2009, that transferred to, without doing any different changes, transferred to a 9% energy cost savings because the baselines had increased. So that would have met the code for ASHRAE, but not met the prerequisite to do a 10% energy savings. So they started looking at what they would need to do to get to higher levels of energy performance, and used energy modeling to look at the individual energy ideas such as daylighting, improved insulation, lower lighting power densities, geothermal, and then bundled all that together. If they would have done that, they could have gotten to a 45% energy cost savings under LEED 2009. Then they did the same comparison with 90.1 2010 for LEED V4. The original design wouldn't even have met ASHRAE 90.1 under the 2010, but let alone the 5% required for the prerequisite. And again, if they looked at all those strategies and that they could have done and bundled them all together, they could have theoretically achieved a 39% reduction looking at 90.1 2010, which is certainly enough to get the prerequisite and a whole bunch of points under LEED version 4. They did the overall comparison with the different LEED rating systems. 2.2 silver, doing all the same things under LEED 2009. They would have still got silver, but just barely, including doing the, not doing the energy changes. Including the energy changes they would have still got to silver. And then doing a LEED V4 comparison, they wouldn't have even come close into the original design to certification, and doing a bunch of different things that they could have to maximize the points, including the new energy design, the theoretical energy design. They could have gotten as high as gold certification. Certainly a big energy reduction made up for a lot of other points that they weren't going to get. And really their main takeaway, and my main takeaway for LEED version 4, is that we can't do things the same way we've always done. Same for ASHRAE 90.1 2010. Things that we did for as energy savings measures before are now in the baseline, are required to do. So we're going to have to start thinking about other things to really achieve higher energy savings under the new version of ASHRAE. And from a LEED standpoint, what may have been a LEED gold building under LEED 2009 may just be a certified building. And one of the things we're going to have to do is educate and manage people's expectations. Can't just do the same old thing and expect to get the same results. LEED is all about market transformation and leadership and pushing the envelope, and that means change, and change is supposed to be hard. So we're going to need to buckle down and really focus on education and start doing things a little differently.